Hello friends, my name is Ritika Rathore and in this video I'm going to tell you about Cloud Federation and Cloud Federation Stack. This video is a part of my college assignment. So let's begin. The agenda of this video will be what is Cloud Federation, why Cloud Federation, benefits of Cloud Federation Stack and Intercloud. So what is Cloud Federation? Before that, I would like to say some brief about what is cloud computing. So cloud computing is delivery of different services through the internet, including data storage, servers, networking, and software. Those who provide these cloud services to end users are known as cloud service providers. Example, Google Cloud, AWS, that's Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, IBM Cloud, etc. So as you can see in the picture, there are CSP 1, 2 and 3. So these what are they? They are the cloud service providers. So a cloud federation, the big cloud is the cloud federation in which there are small clouds that are the cloud service providers, CSP 1, 2 and 3, and all of them are providing services to the end user. So cloud federation simply means that the function and resources of two geographically different clouds are completely available to each other. Cloud federation is the concept of bringing different services offered by various providers under a single platform. For example, if I take a real world example, for example, if you install Truecaller in on your mobile, so then after installing it, Truecaller asks you to sign up. So Truecaller gives you the option, so you can sign in through Google, you can sign in through Gmail, you can sign in through your number, etc. So all of these, what are these? They are the different cloud service providers, and the all of them are the cloud federation. So combining all of them, they are providing the services to us. So that is the simple example of cloud federation. So federation means like when we need more than one cloud service provider, then we use the federation. Federation term implies the creation of an organization that supersedes the decisional and administrative power of the single entity and that act as a whole. uh, Federation is somewhere politically related word, so where like various parties come together for a same aim, but we know that the parties are very individual and independent and very different. So likewise only here in the cloud federation, different independent cloud service providers came together to provide the service to the end user. Cloud federation is the practice of interconnecting the cloud computing environment of two or more service providers for the purpose of load balancing traffic and accommodating spikes in demand. Load balancing traffic and the other we will discuss in the further video. Cloud Federation manages consistency and access control when two or more independent, geographically distinct clouds share either authentication, files, computing resources, etc. So, as I said before, that the Cloud Federation is a place where two or more geographically distinct, independent cloud service provider came together to provide the service to the end user. There is a term federated cloud is the deployment and management of multiple external internal as well as external cloud computing services to match the business needs. So why cloud federation? So we will discuss why cloud federation on the basis of these points that are load balancing, capacity management, prevention from vendor lock-ins, prevention from power outages and failures, efficient use of surplus resources, scaling data to other CSPs. So one by one we will discuss all of them. First of all, load balancing. Since we know we in the cloud federation we are using more than one machine, more than one cloud service provider, so obviously the load will be more. So we will be using more than one machine. So cloud offers a very good load balancing. Load balancing helps how the resources are distributed in servers and how it is juggling between the different components, like maybe accessing database or maybe fetching the information from another database simultaneously. So all of this will help load balancing very much in cloud federation. Second is capacity management. You can, by the capacity management in the cloud federation, you can know what are your constraints, you can know what are your limitations, you can know what are your advantages, and then you can negotiate likewise. So then you can take the advantage of cloud services for that. Then there is a third one, which is prevention from vendor lock-ins. So with the help of an example, I will explain this. uh, Suppose you like Nescafe brand of coffee, your friend like Brew brand of coffee, and your another friend like Devodif brand of coffee. But suppose somehow Devodif stop producing their brand of coffee. So now your third friend, what will he do now? How now he is unable to switch to another one, and so and he is locked, like he is locked to some position. So this situation is known as the vendor lock-ins, where you are unable to switch to somewhere else, where you are locked in a situation. So that's the term vendor lock-in, means the person is unavailable to switch. So the cloud federation prevents that situation. Then there is prevention from power outages and failures. So if your system went out of power, then using this cloud federation, you can use and you can launch your application on another cloud service provider, and then negotiate the costing. This prevent you from the power outage, and it prevent the risk of failure of your application. Then there is efficient use of surplus resources. So as we all know that the demand of resources sometimes goes very low, and sometimes it goes very high. For example, if you take an example of IT company only, the resources are very much in demand from Monday to Friday evening. But from Friday evening to Monday morning, they are in no use. So you can use the resources from Friday evening to Monday morning, so that you can to another cloud service provider. You can give to the another cloud service providers, and you can efficiently use all your surplus resources. Likewise, only the scaling data to other cloud service provider is the same. If you have a for example, if you have 10 to 12 personal computer and you have data on it, and you have to share the data to the other cloud service provider, you can do it very efficiently with the help of cloud federation. So I hope you got the concept of why cloud federation. Then benefits of cloud federation. So in previous slide we mentioned some of the benefits. Here are some also. Cloud federation offers two sustainable benefits to cloud providers. First, it allowed providers to earn revenue from computing resources that would otherwise be idle or underutilized. As I said before, cloud federation provides efficient use of surplus resources, which are like resources which are idle, resources which are in no use. You can use very efficiently all of them. Then secondly, the cloud federation enables cloud providers to expand their geographic footprints and accommodate sudden spikes in demand. As I said before also, that cloud federation is the combination of different cloud service providers which are geographically distant to each other. So it is very beneficial. Now there is another term, cloud federation stack. Creating a cloud federation involves research and development at different levels: conceptual, logical, and operational. And third one is infrastructural. So the picture, as you can see in the video, is the cloud federation reference stack. In the reference stack, there are these three levels. First is conceptual level, in which you know what you think, like why we need this cloud federation, what are the definition, what are the characterization. Then after that, you think why it is necessary. Then what motivates you to think about a cloud federation. Then what are the advantages of that. Then what opportunities you get by that, and obviously there will be some limitations. Then the second is the logical and operational level. After getting all of them, then we talk about the actual federation model, like what the model will be like exactly, and who will be the other parties, who will be the other cloud service providers, what will be the agreement between them. All of this thing comes in the logical and operational level. Then there is infrastructural level, where the like protocol interfaces, rules and regulations, all of this thing come. And then programmatic interoperation will discuss further in this topic, that is programmatic interoperation. Then there is federation platforms like Reservoir, Intercloud, whatever you want to use. Now uh, let's see briefly all these levels. First is conceptual level. So in the conceptual level, it is important to clearly identify the advantages for either service providers or service consumers to join a federation. It is very important to know the motive of the cloud provider as well as the service consumer to know why they want to join the cloud federation. So conceptual level is for that. There are some elements of concern at this level which are like a motivation for cloud providers, as I said, motivation for service consumers, advantages, then obligations, then limitations, etc. Now there is logical and operational level. In this level, we more importantly talk about framework and model. Like the logical and operational level of federated cloud identifies and addresses the challenges in devising a framework that enables the aggregation of providers that belong to different administrative domains. As I said before, the cloud service providers are different, so obviously they will have the different administrative domains. Okay, so this is the level where MOCC, which is market oriented cloud computing, is implemented and realized. It is important at this level to address some challenges which are: how should a federation be represented? How should we model and represent a cloud service? What are the who will be the different cloud service providers? What will the agreement between the different cloud service provider? What will the mechanism between them? How the information will go from one cloud service provider to the other? What will the rules between them, and all of that. Then there is infrastructural level. As I said before, the infrastructural level addresses the technical challenges involved in enabling heterogeneous cloud computing systems to interoperate seamlessly. So interoperate seamlessly means like these cloud service providers are different and distinct from each other, and they obviously all of them have different operations in them and different capability in them. So we have to make sure that interoperability between them should be very smooth and very seamless. So for that, for example, you want to transfer some information from one cloud service provider to the another. So maybe the first cloud service provider have some different things, some different parameters, some different protocols, and other have some different. So you have to see what are the interoperability between them, and then you have to do this. It deals with the technological barriers that keep separate cloud computing system belonging to different administrative domains. By having standardized protocols interfaces, these barriers can be overcome. What kind of standards should be used? As I said before, all of the cloud service provider will have different and individual things of them. They will have different standards of each other. So what kind of standards should we use? What should the design interfaces and protocols should we use for the interoperation between them? What are the technical technology should we use for that? And all of that is come in the infrastructural level. Now, there is another term which is intercloud. Intercloud is a very similar term of cloud federation, but let's see. The term cloud federation and intercloud, often used interchangeably, convey the general manage of an aggregation of cloud computing providers that have separate administrative domains. As I said, that they are very similar. Intercloud is a term that is often used interchangeably to express the concept of the cloud federation. You can use either intercloud or the term cloud federation to express the concept, but the main focus of both of them is the direct interoperability between the public cloud service provider, that there should be a direct transfer, direct interoperability between all the cloud service providers. As we all know, we say internet as a network of networks. So intercloud is also represented as clouds of clouds. There is a primary difference between cloud federation and intercloud, that is the intercloud is based on future standards and open interfaces, while the cloud federation uses a vendor version of the control plane. So this is all about cloud federation, its details, its benefits, cloud federation stack, and intercloud, and the difference between intercloud and cloud federation. I hope you get the topic and you enjoy the video. Thank you for watching, everyone. If you like the video, please like, share, and comment. Have a nice day.